we're doing this. We're doing this.
Oh, I'm so glad you remember that. Go ahead. I think we put it in the. Moshe, did you put this in? Did you put this whole thing into the?
It's on a WhatsApp group.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't print it.
Oh, you didn't print it, but it's in the WhatsApp group. Yeah, sure. You could say whoever doesn't have it on their phone.
You're owed so many meals. I'm trying to figure it out.
Save one for Ram, just in case Ram doesn't have
It's funny. The way his son
Right. I'll hold this for Ram in case he doesn't have.
Did you speak to the
I'll take 700 million. I wouldn't take that.
I'm excited for you. It's going to work out.
That's 10 million.
What's this? Oh, that's the.
This is the this is what he's going to from. This is from the powerful group. Really powerful. I've used a lot of strategies. Myself, yep. And for us, send people there and it's really beautiful stuff. So, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, please. We are live.
Sure.
I wasn't here last week. 2 weeks ago we began. I want to thank, of course, the Rahmani family, the Rabbeinu Rahmani, the whole family, Shirim Dach, Yavinovas, the Nishmas, his father's, and the whole family, Shalom Simcha, Nachas, and Bracha. So we began 2 weeks ago this pamphlet that's called The Power Within You. It was written for boys from the age of 12, 13, Bar Mitzvah, Bacham. So the point of this is to help us to create a framework to have a conversation, whether it's Lageya to your child at this age, or a grandchild, if that comes up, or the little boy that never got that talk when or the grown man that never got that talk when he was a little boy, which is probably most of us, never had that talk when we were kids. And we still need to have it. So this is written for kids. But I feel that it's very, very important to try to climb inside their heads, their hearts. And from the different things that I've seen, this is the simplest and the most direct. It's very honest. And I believe that it could be very helpful to understand it, to go over it, and to be able to use it as as a springboard to have a conversation with the boys, maybe to even to read together with them, and use that as a opening to have a conversation, as opposed to son, I'd like to talk to you, to learn together, I think will make it easier. So we began. Well, the pages are not numbered, but I hope you have it. On the second page, the page which is 2, second section, we were talking where he was speaking to the child, to the young man, the child becoming a young man, about changes that are taking place right now in your life. And the most obvious are the physical changes. But it's not just the physical changes, which he's going to talk more about, but there are also mental and emotional changes that you're noticing that are coming together with these strange physical developments. There are emotional and mental changes that are taking place. We were talking about that in the first our first reading 2 weeks ago. So let's continue where it says 2. Why it's important to know. It's possible that you have, it's missing the word, it's possible that you have already heard something about the following subject from others. Not just possible, it's most likely that you've already heard something, that there's a hack about all this stuff, but it may have been incomplete, or you may not have totally understood it. That's why it's important to discuss it. The changes that occur at this stage of life are related to a subject about which it is sometimes difficult to speak. Where do babies come from? This subject and some of the explanations offered here might be a bit confusing, but it's very important to know about for a number of reasons. Because why do we have to talk about this? So again, the beginning is, the easiest way to begin the conversation is to talk to the boy about the changes that he's noticing in himself. What have you felt has been changing over the last 6 months, the last year, the last 2 years? Things that you have felt, whatever you are feeling. I also, as your father, I also went through. I also have felt. I know what that means. Let's talk about those changes. And now, why is it important to talk about these things? Why is it important to know this? The question of where babies come from. A, understanding the changes you are undergoing. Your body is changing, and so is your mind. If you want to feel calmer and more confident about what's happening, it's worthwhile to understand how your body functions. What exactly is changing and why? Because most of us can't remember this anymore. It's a haze, but it's scary. Those things that are happening, it makes the boy feel weird and uncomfortable. So maybe he'll talk to a friend about it, which takes on a whole life of its own, but it's uncomfortable. And the first thing to understand is just simply biology. What's happening? What exactly is changing and why? B, learning the information accurately. There are many ways to learn something. You can learn information in the most direct fashion, or you may hear about it in a roundabout manner from indirect sources. When learned this way, which is how it's been learned traditionally, when learned this way, you may receive information that is wrong or only part of the story. This pamphlet is designed to help you understand this subject in a straightforward, accurate, and productive manner. C, knowing how to be careful. Just like in any other area of life, there are some things that you have to watch out for. If you don't learn about it, you won't know why you need to be careful or what you should watch out for. Learning about it should help to clarify these points as well. D, knowing the halacha. In this area, just like many other realms of life, the Torah guides us as to how to live properly. Since in the yeshiva, they didn't talk to us about these things, and maybe some parents, some fathers did, most didn't. Even the fathers that did, unless his father's a big Talmid Chacham and is familiar with this world of Kedushas Abris and Yesod in Torah. So the feeling is that this is this isn't a place where the Torah doesn't deal with this, and that's very, very scary. Because everything else in our lives, the moment that we wake up in the morning until we're 120 and we're finished, every single moment of life we have a Torah, we have Shulchan Aruch, we have Torah, we have a mahalach of how to deal with it that was brought down to us on Har Sinai and through the Chachamim till our day. But since in yeshiva they never speak to us about these things, they didn't speak to us about these things, there is no Torah. The feeling that the guys have is that this is something you have to sort of wing. You have to just figure it out. Or the guys will have a conference about it, the pizza shop or something. Because we don't have Torah on this, which is chas v'chalila, not the truth. There's tons of Torah. I mean, we've been doing some of this Torah for years already. And we will do a lot more. There's tons of Torah on this. The Torah has a mahalach of all of this. But it wasn't taught to us. Most of our rebellion were not familiar with that Torah themselves. And at home, this was not a Torah that our fathers were exposed to or grew up with for the most part. There might be some exceptions, but for the most part, they were not exposed to it. So the feeling is that there's no Torah at all. And I just have to figure this out. So we have to know the halacha. In this area, just like many other realms of life, the Torah guides us how to live properly. In order to know what Hashem, who gave us the Torah, wants from us, and how best to make use of the world He created for us, we need to learn what the Torah and the halacha have to say about this subject. And some of it might be hard for the kid to hear, what halacha says about this, but when it's learned properly and understood properly, it will give the boy a mahalach of how to deal with it, a point of reference of how to live. These issues need to be discussed at appropriate times only, and not whenever and with whomever we feel like. Remember, he's talking to kids. So it's probably not a good idea to talk about them with your younger brothers or with other or sisters, or with others when they happen to be around. Not a good topic for conversation, just with the kids. When they get to the appropriate stage of life, you can talk about it with them as well. 3, your new potential. Okay, so here it is. So this again, like I said last time, this is Torah, and just the sprach for the children to try to get a sense of how to talk. In order to fully understand how babies are born and where they come from, we need to understand the different functions of your body. The body consists of many different parts, each of which has been given its own role to play by Hashem. Our hands allow us to touch, hold things, eat, write, and so much more. We stand with, walk with, run with, and jump with our feet. Our eyes enable us to see, and our mouths allow us to eat and speak. In addition to helping direct your physical life, your body is also a spectacular home for your neshama, your soul. Even the biggest scientists in the world consider the soul to be something mysterious and amazing. The more we learn about it, the more it's clear how little we understand about the miraculous way it functions. One of the most important roles of your body is its ability to help you become a parent of children. This is the role that is developed the most during the period of passage from childhood to adulthood. This is the time that you're now beginning. Your eyes, your ears, your feet, your hands, all of this is something that you've been used to from the time that you could remember. But there are suddenly things that are happening to your body that you're not used to, and parts of your body that have a role to play in the future, and something's happening to them right now, these parts of your body, as you're passing from childhood to adulthood, but you don't understand them. At this time, your body is beginning to develop the capability of procreation or having children. That's how Hashem Yisbarach created us, and at this age, the body, Hashem created the body in such a way that it's beginning to get ready to bring children to the world. This role of procreation is connected to the first mitzvah in the Torah, where Adam and Chava were commanded to have children right after they were created. Atem pru urevu, you shall be fruitful and multiply. In other words, to have kids. This is such an important mitzvah that when we fulfill it, we are considered partners with Hashem in bringing additional life and blessing to the world. Just like Hashem created the world with His kindness and continues to maintain it, so too we humans can partner with him in bringing additional life into the world with love and joy. This inner potential of having children has been asleep until now. So we're all born with that potential, but it's bekoach, it's potential. And now that you're beginning to mature and move towards, in that direction, towards the chuppah and having children, so it's waking up. That koach is now becoming more bepoal. It's been asleep until now. But this is when it begins to wake up. That occurs to a command given by the brain to create hormones, substances secreted by the brain that are responsible for the proper development of the various parts of the body and assist every person in carrying out their jobs. Some hormones are responsible for helping the muscles grow. Others are in charge of making your hair grow. Some help you to become taller. And some are in charge of preparing your body so that you can bring new life into the world. The hormones that help the body prepare for the task of having children instruct the body to create tiny particles called sperm, zera. These sperm help you to father children after you get married, God willing. This ability to give birth is amazingly powerful. Part of its power comes from the great significance it has. It increases the amount of life in the world. It's the holiest thing. It brings life to the world. It's the most powerful koach that a person has. There's nothing that we have that is as godlike as this koach of giving life. Part of its power comes from the great significance it has. It increases the amount of life in the world and ensures that life continues in this world after us. If we compare this role to the others mentioned above, we can see that the ability to have children is greater in a certain sense. Eating, walking, and touching, for example, all enable us to maintain our lives in the present. So the other senses are focused very much on our survival. And that's a very, very deep instinctive feeling that a person has of wanting to live. From the earliest time that the baby's in the world, it has those instincts of wanting to live, which means to be able to be here, this moment. And that's how all of our senses work. It's just a metzias of a chai b'hem. Leman tichya, that's all. Eating, walking, and touching, for example, all enable us to maintain our lives in the present. In contrast, the ability to have children is related to the future. That's why it can only really, Hashem made it in such a way that it comes simultaneously with emotional and intellectual maturation. Because the greatest sign of immaturity, whether you're a kid or you're an immature adult, the greatest sign of immaturity is to think only about the present moment. That's what immaturity means, just this moment. And to live only in that moment, we've spoken about this many times over the years, is that the Rosh Tevis of Reishis Goyim Amalek is Rega. Rega means, well, you only have this moment. Now in Kedusha, because everything exists in Kedusha, so the Kedusha of Reish Gimel Ayin, of that moment, is to know the Koch of Tshuva. Right? So Chazal tell us that the word Ata, Ayin Tafeh, which means now, is a Lashon of Tshuva. Like Yosef said to his brothers, Va'ata al te'otzu, and now don't be sad. That means, Chazal say that now means Tshuva means there's nothing that's more encouraging than the fact that this moment never was and will never ever be. That means that this moment you can recreate yourself. That's what Tshuva is. And therefore Tshuva is Va'ata. Va'ata, Yosef said, don't be sad. To live. And living means in this moment, everything that was is gone, and what will be, so all I have is right now. In Kedusha, it's a gewaldige thing. Reishis Goyim Amalek in Tumah, it means you only have this moment, go for it. You know? Meaning, in whatever impulse you have, that's all you have, is this impulse, this need, this moment. Immaturity means not being able to think or reflect upon the past and to think about the future. So Hashem's Baruch made us in such a way that as the body itself begins to prepare for the future and to give life to future generations, comes at the time where a mature mind is beginning to be able to think outside of the present moment. You're not stuck in the present moment. You can think about repercussions, the future, what's going to be, and you can reflect upon the past. Now that's different from all of the other functions of our body. All the other functions of the body, like if somebody is in terrible pain, you tell the person, oh, yesterday you were fine. It doesn't really do anything for him. Or if you say to him, tomorrow you won't have any pain, maybe a little bit. You could give him some hope. But the mitzvah is that pain is an experience he's having right now. And he's living in that experience. So eating and sleeping and drinking and so on, the other senses of the body are just living in the moment. But in contrast, the ability to have children is related to the future. Now, the scary thing is, and this is where the tomb of Amalek comes in, the scary thing is when you take kids who are still immature, especially now where the immaturity goes on for a long time, generally, and the kid is feeling these changes that are taking place within him physically, but he just wants to have a tanug for the moment. He wants to experience that the same way he experiences eating, which is, I want this now. So this is all of the angst of those years of growing up. That this want or this mitzias of your life is different than the others. The other, when it comes to hunger, okay, you can be a little bit patient. You can wait till recess; it'll be okay. You can wait till lunch; it'll be okay. You don't have to sneak in your potato chips under the desk or something. Hold out till recess, hold out till lunch, but it's a relatively short time to wait to recess, to wait to lunch. And even if the kid's just starting to fast now, Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av, whatever it is, no, ishkafel. But when you tell a 13-year-old who has this very powerful physical change that's taking place, and you tell him, wait to get married, he says, my brother Yankee is 24 and he's still not married. I'm not waiting. 10 years for this. I'll wait 10 minutes. But I'm not waiting 10 years. And these kids are all growing up with telephones. But there's no Indian of waiting at all. It's just everything is instant. So this is the difference. But the whole mitzias of that part of us is only for the future. And the whole nature of immaturity is, I don't care about the future. Anytime you have a talk with a 13-year-old about this is very important for your future, that's when the eyes start going, rolling. Like, do me a favor about my future. I'm not really particularly interested in my future. I just care about right now. Right now, I enjoy this. But if you don't do your homework, you won't graduate and you won't make a living, you won't be able to buy a house and whatever, you won't succeed if you don't do your homework. Kid doesn't believe you, and he's not interested in that. You tell him about his future. What do I have? It's enough community. You tell me what's going to be in 10 years from now. I'll be like you. I heard you also didn't do your homework. You have a house, so what's the matter? I don't have to worry about this stuff now. It's not my cheshbon right now. It's not my cheshbon. That's immaturity. Not to think about the future. That's immaturity. So the whole mitzias of this change that's taking place is a mitzias that's talking about his future. But he only cares about now. That's Reishi's going Mamali. So right now, and they tell him, no, that's what this is about. No, listen, and that's what we're going to be talking about. No, this part of you is just about the future. This part of this need that you have, it's not about for now. It's to be able to have kids in the future. So that's very hard to communicate that. It's very hard. But first, the kid needs to understand. That's the beginning. It's the beginning to understand. In contrast, the ability to have children is related to the future, not just to the here and now. The human species is dependent upon this uniqueness of looking toward the future in order to make sure that we continue to exist, which animals don't have. Animals have this impulse to just to eat and to have kids, to reproduce. They have an impulse like that. But when they have that impulse, it's not like the father or the mother is saying to the little bear, "No, you really need to, you need to wait. You need to first go to yeshiva for a few years. There's hibernation. Yeshiva Bacham go through that too. There's all different stages you have to go through until you have kids. That doesn't happen with the like Berenstein bears. He has an impulse, and that means it's time. He has one. No. The physical comes with you can't call it emotional, with those natural impulses that the animal has, and everything happens at the same time. It means if you feel that it's time to eat, it's time to eat. And if you feel it's time if you feel it's time to have little bears, then you go ahead with that. Only a human being is told hamtein, chapnish, and that's the hardest thing. Lamtin. It's very, very hard. But that's the whole avodah of being a bal b'chir. And a bacher means livchor. And the whole avodah is to prepare this boy to be an Eved Hashem. And an Eved means there's something higher than you that you listen to. The animal doesn't have such nachrayos. The animal, Hashem set the animal on that dial, and it just goes by what Hashem told it to do, and it functions according to what Hashem wants. We're the only ones that Hashem says, I want you to do this, I want you to have kids, I even want you to enjoy a relationship with a wife, but not with a little girlfriend. None of that stuff. But isn't it the same impulse? So Hashem says, yes, the same thing. So, can they get started? No, you can't get started. What about if I'm not with a girl? What about just satisfying this need by myself? And Hashem's book says, "What you never learned the Zohar Kodesh or anything like that? You never learned Shulchan Aruch? You don't know? It's a big affair to do that by yourself." So, this is the Nisayon. This is the Nisayon. But every Nisayon, like we learned in the Sfam HaKadoshim, we actually learned the Torah inside of HaTzadik. Other tzaddikim will talk about this, that here's another problem, the way that we were taught when we were growing up, is that every Nisayon is a test. And that's the translation of the Nisayon, is that a test. But the truth is that every Nisayon is a message from Hashem. Hashem is speaking to us with that Nisayon. Animals don't have this Nisayon. Because there's no messaging that's taking place from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to an animal that's saying, overcome this for now and wait. So when Reb Tzaddik taught us, it's all of the Sfam, Reb Tzaddik says it's so clear, that how do you know what you came to the world to perfect? So remember, Reb Tzaddik says, that which you have the greatest struggle dealing with. That's a simon from Hashem, that this is what you have to perfect. So every healthy teenage boy, the greatest struggle that he has is this Indian of Kedushas Abris. Yosef HaTzadik, that's the biggest struggle. Which means, yes, it's in the sign, correct. And usually that's what the conversation will end with. A father or a rebbe, someone will say it's the sign, and then they'll usually say the famous sentence of, if Hashem gave you the sign, it means what? You can pass the sign. And when the boy says, where does it say that? You say, I don't know, I'll let you know later on. And you run over to Google something, try to find that somewhere. It's not so posh. There is such an Indian, it's not so posh. It's no chazal like that. But it's not so posh. So, but the truth of the matter is that with every nisayon that you're having, Hashem is telling you something. There's a message that comes from Hashem. But since the kid's only used to text messages or WhatsApps or something, he's not hearing any messages from Hashem. He's only hearing what the body is telling him. The body is telling him to indulge in this. And it's just a test. It's not that Hashem was talking to you about something. And the point of having a conversation is to be like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because since we can't hear Hashem's voice speaking to us clearly, the job of a father. You remember when Shmuel Navi was a little boy in the Mishkan, right? And he heard Hashem speaking to him, but he thought it was Eli. Because it came to him like his father. Because Eli was like his father. Because Eli was raising him. So he He thought that it was his father talking to him. So this is the problem of being a father, is that Hashem expects us to speak to our boys in his voice, to take Hashem's role, so to speak, and speak to the kids. But through our voices, Hashem's voice can be heard. So what is the message that this boy needs to hear? It's about growing up, self-control, patience. It's about resilience. It's about strength. It's about faith. There's so many unbelievable messages that are being given over to the kid during this time. And if all he hears is the one thing, this is a test, it's very, very unlikely that he'll pass it too well. He'll do too great on the test. If all he hears is the word, this is a test. Because when it comes to any test in life, you just want it to be over. Any test, you just want it to end. If you go to a kid in college, and he's in the middle of his test, and you say, "This is very, very good for you. I hope you'll be able to have this test continuing tomorrow as well." I remember when I was in yeshiva, so my Rebbe, David Yosef HaTzadik, we had a bechina. We would have bechinas twice a year. We had bechinas while we learned. He didn't mark them, but he would look them over. But he didn't give grades or anything like that. But we had bechinas, and they were on many blood Gemara with Taisus and Mishainim and everything. And it was in the auditorium, in Reach, the old auditorium in the yeshiva. And the bechina was somewhere, usually takes somewhere between 8 to 14, 15 hours, depending upon. Usually it was over 2 days. Come there, the bechina. And at different points during the bechina, it was a very sweet thing that it was not a typical. It's not typical of Rosh Yeshiva, but every now and then Rav Dov would start to sing a niggin. You had to see this tzaddik. And we were all in the middle of writing, the bechina. And then Rav Dov would say, no, and then we all started, it sounds like it's the Shei Rebbe, no? He was like that. And he was so excited. And I remember him saying to us that sometimes when during learning, during a shia, during a charusa, you're not concentrating. But right now, you're all mamish learning. He was so excited about that. I wanted to say, we were learning until you interrupted us, right? but it was so beautiful because he was so excited that he was looking around. We were all learning. So nobody was distracted. Everybody was learning. But sof it's a test. And the impulse, the nature of a person is, I want to be finished with the test. And I tell like Moritz, I don't want to be tested. I don't want to be challenged. I don't want to be tested. And the sign is a challenge. And we don't want to be challenged. People don't enjoy being challenged. It's very hard to be challenged. I was just talking to a young man an hour and a half ago, that he was for a couple of months in Lebanon, an American boy from the 5 towns. He went to Haftar, and he's a soldier. And now he was off a little bit. He was in college and learning, and he's going back. I think he said tonight or tomorrow. He's going back tonight. Yeah, he's going back tonight, and it's talking to a different person. It's talking to a grown man, to a different person, because of the challenges, because of the tests that he's been through. And the tests are there to make you into somebody exceptional in the future. But while you're in the test, it's very, very hard. Although he was telling me, he's like, can't wait to get back into Lebanon. Can't wait to get back. That's what he told. He says a crazy thing. On the one hand, it's unbelievably hard, and it's a huge interruption to life. Things he has to do, school and learning and moving ahead. He said, but he's challenging to get back. And we were talking about this an hour ago. Talking to him, he was explaining, we were talking about this thinking of challenges and the feeling of maturing and growing and feeling that this is something that, even though it's unbelievably hard right now, I know this is going to make my future entirely different. And that's the whole nisayon of Yosef HaTzadik. Because it's all about the future, not about now at all. That's what he's explaining. And we could talk to the kids about this. Obviously, these are just points that we could elaborate. The human species is dependent upon this uniqueness of looking toward the future in order to make sure that we continue to exist. That's what Hashem Yisbarach wants. Dor l'dor yishavach masech. Dor l'dor yishavach masech. It is not coincidental, and because of that, as I just explained, it is not coincidental that this process takes place at the same time as you're becoming bar mitzvah, as you become bar mitzvah. Since this is the age that you become an adult and begin to take responsibility for your actions, that's what it means to be bar mitzvah, achrayis, responsibility. It is certainly fitting that Hashem develops your physical capability of bringing life into the world as well. That's exactly how Hashem made us. Achrayis, together with the body changing, making you into a Baal Achrayis. Because the ability to have children means Hashem is now making you to a Baal Achrayis for others, for children, for the future. You're being made into a Baal Achrayis. So that's happening physically, and hopefully it's happening emotionally, into a Baal Achrayis. And he was telling me how, the Baruch was just telling me that when he came back, it's very, very wonderful to see some of his old friends, because he went ahead, his family still lives here, and he's been there for years. So he said that it's hard for him to relate to his friends. He's very, very sweet, he's very nice, he didn't want to say anything bad. But it's like being with babies. The hack of where we're going to be Pesach. Last year was Arizona. We heard the parents are talking about Panama. Maybe, could be. This is the hack, and he looks at them like they're from outer space. He can't even. So he says it's a very awkward position. This is what we're talking about. It's a very awkward position to be in. On the one hand, this is your chevra, and it's great to be back with the chevra, to see them. But he said, it's like, I gotta get out of here. Go back to the crazy Israelis that I'm with, and the guys. I can't. It's not the same language anymore. It's not the same person. Milchiks, fleishiks. What's going to be tonight? Who knows? What's going to be? Pesach. What's going to be? And this is running around with a gun. So Hashem Yisbarach is giving the test, and the message of the test is you're growing into Baal Achrayis for others. To Baal Achrayis for others. That your life is not just about you, this moment. Your life is about other lives and the future. This is hard. As the ability to give life to others is developing inside of you, you now have the opportunity as an adult. There's a mistake. The page was repeated. So after it says you now have the opportunity as an adult member. So you skip the next two pages. It continues on as an adult. Printed it twice. You now have the opportunity as an adult member of the Jewish people to dedicate time and energy to studying Torah. What's studying Torah? Torah, performing mitzvahs, and helping others. Meaning to be an Eved Hashem. To enter into a life of doing for Kadosh Baruch Hu, and doing for family, and doing for Chavra. That's what's expected of you as Hashem is getting your body ready to bring new life into the world. the life that you're surrounded by, give life to that life. That's what it means. To the Shechina Kedosha, to your family, You know what's going on with this Baruch Hashem. We live in a neighborhood, even though there's plenty of people that are in need. Don't forget the Tom Shabbos, right? There's plenty of people who are in need. Because there are a lot of people that are out of jobs and so on. So there's never a shortage until Mashiach comes. There are all these people that are in need. But we live, for the most part, in a community where people have what to eat, for the most part. Baruch Hashem, have what to eat, and life isn't that way better than it's ever been before. And with that comes also many of the homes in the neighborhood. I don't know any statistic, because this is all off the books, with our maids and girls working in the homes, which is a chesed for the wives. They work very hard, and it's a very good thing to help our wives and the mothers with getting some additional help. But all of us know that that's taken an unbelievable toll upon our kids, especially the boys. It's killing them. His mom was killing them. I mean, it's especially if it's not. If you have somebody once a week, no mail it. I remember with one of the kids. So it was after one of the children. There was a baby born, and so at that time we didn't have any maids or anything like that. Maid. So, but because my wife was, because she was a kippur and she had a baby, so probably my father paid for us to get some help at that time. This is a long time ago. So one of the kids passed by, and there was like a candy on the floor. And this kid walked right over, and I said, whoa, where you going? So he said to me, I don't know if you ever heard such a thing. I don't remember the name of the lady. Let's say this in YouTube. I don't remember what her name was. I don't know, let's say her name was Barbara. So the kid said to me, Barbara's here. I said, pick that thing up off the floor and put it in the garbage can. And I remember this, I thinking about this, this is the beginning of the end. Barbara's here, whatever her name was, I don't remember her name. She's here. So you have a whole population of young men that are growing up there with the senoritas around, whether it's from a Spanish place or a Polish or a Filipino, whatever it is. It's the same Indian. The Indian is Lachtam Nasas Aideh. Mashiach already came. There's nothing to daven for. She's here. I thought it was going to be a guy, but it turns out it's a lady. I thought he was going to be Jewish. She's not even Jewish, but it's Mashiach. Because I don't have to bend down at all. I don't have to make my bed. I don't have to make my bed. I remember my father coming after me with a car when I went Sunday morning. We were playing ball. My father came to the playground by the public school where we played ball. My father called me over and he says, "Get in the car." So what happened? He said, "Get in the car." He took me over and he says, "Make your bed. Mommy's not your servant." Straight out of left field. You understand what it is? Came like, not from the bullpen, from left field. Get in the car. I don't know what happened. Mommy's not your servant. He didn't say it so nice. He said, "Mommy's not your shifra knan." Make your bed. This is this. How many of the boys in this community even thought of that? The problem is that when they get married, the shifra knan is his wife. And it continues on. But to do something, a person lives for himself and is not thinking beyond the self. That is the embodiment of immaturity. But while this is all going on, the body is maturing. The physical desires are growing. So listen to this, what's happening, this combination. Used to be that guys were maturing and becoming balei achrayos, while their bodies were maturing and getting ready to have kids. They were also getting ready to have kids emotionally. They were getting ready to be balei achrayos. So now it's totally off. The body is like, because they're also exposed to crazy, disgusting things. So the body is like going crazy, supersonic speed, but emotionally, They're crawling. So everything is out of whack. It's just not aligned. The body, the desires, the taivas, all of that is going crazy fast. But as far as becoming balei achrayis and thinking outside of their physical desires and needs, it's inching, not even millimeters, tiny little steps forward. And this is not the way that it's experienced in other parts of the world, but life is not as easy. And the parents still are allowed to expect their kids to make their beds and to do other things that the senorita is not. There is no lady here. Do it yourself, or else you're not getting anything. You're not going to eat, and you're not going to have clean linen. Change it yourself. So this is all now not coordinated. So this is the time that we're living in. To again come to energy and studying Torah, performing mitzvahs, and helping others. Your effort in working towards these goals in a serious and sincere manner also adds additional depth to the life of this world. It adds content, significance, and values, and ultimately gives you a life of connection to Hashem. As a balei achrayis, it's an eved that knows how to serve, that lives for somebody else beside yourself. It's an eved Hashem. Or you see sometimes you see tzaddikim when they sign their letters or a tshuva, they would write eved la'avdei Hashem. I'm a servant to the servants of God. It means I'm a servant to the Jewish people. Eved la'avdei Hashem. In other words, the potential developing within you is not only related to actually having a child, but also to the ability to create an impact upon the world. To be much bigger than yourself, to do something in the world. You can influence the world by doing mitzvahs, speaking encouraging words, and by acting on creative ideas that can benefit the world. You are capable of great things and have tremendous potential that will begin to be actualized at this time, the same time that the koiches of the body to give life is beginning to be actualized. That's when your koiches to give to the world and to bring life, physical life, emotional life, ruchnistic life to the world is beginning to become actualized. All of that is taking place in our boys. So there's no wonder why they're often angry and frustrated and miserable. There's no wonder. This is very, very hard. All right, we'll continue.
If you have printed sheets,